would like to ask the Minister for Infrastructure if he will make a statement on how roadworks are prioritised.
Call on the Minister for Infrastructure to reply.
Thank you, Mr Deputy President. The Department carries out condition monitoring on all of the island's roads and pavements on a regular basis. The comprehensive surveys undertaken determine the residual life of road foundations, ride quality and skid resistance, and also include visual inspection of roads, curbs and pavements. The Department uses the survey information together with the defined hierarchy of roads, accident statistics, work planned by the statutory authorities, plan development and budgetary considerations to define priorities for the strategic maintenance projects on the road network. The programmes of work developed by the Department's engineers ensure that the best value for money is achieved in maintaining and developing the road network. The Department has already published a synopsis of strategic highway maintenance projects for 2018-19 on its website, as well as the forward programme of works as far as 2028.
Parliamentary question, Mr Hooper.
Thank you, Mr Deputy President. The Minister there outlined a number of ways that his department assesses priority, residual lifetimes of roads, surveys. What seems to be missing was any form of public input or local authority input. So could the Minister please outline what input the public have or input local authorities have into how roadworks are prioritised?
Minister to reply.
Well, a number of schemes that are put forward. I mean, the first thing I need to underline this, a lot of this is down to engineering, and we must be very conscious that as far as possible, that it's not about political or about a bias in a particular way. It is about what is engineering the best way. And just to sort of couch that, as I said before, there is about over £80 million worth of road spend we could spend today on the network that we need to upgrade. And I'm very grateful for the additional funds in the budget, but that only goes a very small way to the work that we need to do. On that basis, it's about prioritising, and a lot of that, as I say, is about a procedure, is about the engineering basis. Having said that, the schemes that we do, such as the PROM and so forth, that we are now taking forward, we do consult with the public, and we do obviously talk to statutory authorities and other bodies that are looking to do their work. In addition, we have been doing a number of exercises starting across the island in different towns. We started in Port Erin, the Douglas, Castletown, Peel. We're looking to go again in Castletown later this year and consult on roads. There are also the different regional groups that meet on a regular basis that also feed into the discussions and the conversations that are had in department. So there is local engagement, and there's an opportunity for more local engagement. But like I say, on many of these things, it's about the engineering that's really important.
I've got 6 honourable members on my list seeking to ask supplementaries. If I can ask that they don't make a particular plea for their own constituency. Next is Mr Perkins, supplementary.
Thank you, Mr Deputy President. And I thank the Minister for his reply and also for his team for the excellent work they've done on the White Bridge. And in fact, the road has been white-lined and it's really up to standard. So thank you for that. Many of the island's roads, particularly the northern constituencies and Garth constituency, including Rensell Hill, Ballarrick, Baldoon, Glen Road and Dreamskerry and Macclesfield.
Honourable member, I have just asked honourable members not to make individual pleas to their constituencies.
Sorry, Mr Speaker. What I would say is...
This is about prioritisation, not about individual roads, please.
Yeah, what I would say is that many of these roads were in fact as a result of a winter work scheme using coal tar from the Ramsey gasworks, which is important for the members to understand because these were laid at the end of the Second World War, and due to the extreme weather conditions and 50 years ago, it's no wonder they are a priority for the Honourable Minister and his team to address. I would just say one brief thing about Derwent Drive. I had a... Regarding a pothole in Derwent Drive, it's...
Come to a question very soon, I'd be grateful.
It's a Jules Verne pothole. When asked what is meant by that, it's a journey to the centre of the earth. Would the Minister agree that not all potholes are as bad as that? And we do congratulate him on the hard work and the effort in which he's putting in with his team to address this. And I thank you for that, sir. Thank you, Mr. Deputy.
Minister, if you found a question there, will you, given those potholes, will you look into them?
Absolutely. It does give me an opportunity. I won't go for a tour around the island, but it does give me an opportunity to thank the member, and also, you know, there were 550 faults in January. The ground is incredibly saturated. Normally we only have about 135. Again, if everybody would report them, that would be most useful. And I have to say that it's unfortunate that we have to wait till the road fails before we do work, and that is regrettable. But as we invest more in roads, which we continue and want to do, then hopefully we can get into a proper regime of maintenance.
Honourable Member of Council, Mr. Cretney.
Yes, could I ask the Minister, from a value for money point of view, does he share my concern that sometimes temporary repairs seem to be very temporary?
Minister to reply.
I completely agree, and it's a frustration for me. As I said, we had a choice when we first came into office. We could have kept patching up the prom. Even doing that would have costed more than just putting a straight overlay. And I've very much instructed that my frustration is that we should, wherever possible, go with a sensible consolidated repair rather than a quick fix. But again, it is down to budget, and with the number of problems we've been facing over the winter, that has been quite difficult.
Supplementary question, Mr. Henderson.
Could the Minister answer, if we look at the contrast, if we're looking at priorities, the way we've seen Jerby Road outside to the north of Ramsey done, and other roads, say Braid, St Mark's area, which are done to the standard of billiard tables, and then we look at the main routes into the capital of the Isle of Man, which are crumbling. And would you agree with me this seems to be a priority issue here, and that if the main routes to the Isle of Man, main routes to the island's capital rather, are left any longer, he will be having a second Douglas Promenade via Woodburn Road, Bucks Road, Athol Street and Prospect Hill? Minister
to reply.
Again, I thank the member, because it's the sort of the same sense that I feel. When we if we look at the prom, that's why it's so vital to do that, and that's a huge piece of capital engineering. If we look at the work we've been doing, and if you've seen the slight change of focus in terms of Lord Street, Circular Road in Douglas, our conversations that we're having with local authorities, because I believe that towns, it's a sense of place, and those roads are needed. Unfortunately, although some of the ones in rural areas recently have been done, they've actually needed to be done because literally the road was failing, so we've had no option, no choice. It's not what I would like to do. What I would like to do is to focus, as I say, on residential areas, and we have some money to do some of that.
Supplementary question, Mr. Hooper.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy President. Sorry, I'd like to thank the Minister for that last answer, because he talks about residential areas and a sense of place, and I think that's where I'm coming from with this question. Is that road users, to my knowledge anyway, to my experience, tend to feel disempowered. They tend to feel that actually the roads aren't being maintained well in a lot of areas, and I think we all accept that there are budgetary constraints. Would the Minister accept then that possibly there is a role for greater public input, greater input from road users and from local authorities, and would he consider allocating a small portion of his road maintenance budget that perhaps local authorities and the public could have a say over, where those roads are prioritised and where that money is spent?
Minister to reply.
I thank the member for his question. Just to re-emphasise, we have regional groups, and we encourage local authorities to talk in those regional groups, to talk as a region. We are also talking to all of the, going to around all of the different local authorities, and we will be having conversations about the streets in their area. So that is that conversation where we can work together on some of those issues, and I look forward to doing that.
Supplementary question, Dr. Allinson.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy President. I'd like to thank the Minister for his previous answers. He talked about a strategic plan for strategic routes, but also recognises the role of residential roads. Will he and his department please give residential roads, particularly when they're part of a bus route, the same importance as some of the strategic roads, both for local residents but also for the local economy?
Minister to reply.
Thank you. I can make that commitment, and in doing so, that some of the work we've been doing in the previous years is actually looking at some of the bus stops and helping disabled access from buses, and we've been really working hard on that. As I say, it's a wider network of transport. It isn't just about cars.
Supplementary question, Mr. Baker.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy President. Would the Minister agree with me that, with reference to the Honourable Member for Ramsey's previous question, there are some great opportunities for the public to engage with the department and to highlight where road repairs and particularly potholes are issues through the Report a Problem app, which feeds directly into the department's work planning, and that the best thing that the public could do to be engaged is to actually fully utilise that online facility.
Minister to reply.
Yes, and I completely agree. And I would, if people use that, they sometimes come to me and sometimes come to different people. The actual quickest way is to go through the Report a Problem app and to actually supervise that. But none of this is, the roadworks are all on the website, that we are, the horizon planning that we've got there for 10 years. So if there's any sort of roads in there, that's where they are available. And also our processes, we can discuss those through as well.
Supplementary question, Mr. Crookall.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy President. Can I just ask the Minister then, in view of his comments recently, and he knows that I have been in conversation with the Department over several issues, there are times when you use the app, you don't get any response at all, you don't know whether that's been done, and certainly the ones I've been reporting haven't been done yet, but that doesn't mean they're not on a job list to be done, but nobody actually knows whether they have been or not. But my point I was going to make was, we've been talking mainly about the roads, but footpaths, and certainly footpaths between, say, the West Coast, between Peel and Kirkmichael, who's responsible for checking those? Because not a lot of people from the department, I presume, walk that, so you're down to people to report it. I walk that regularly, and that is a disaster waiting to happen. That's so dangerous, some of those places on those footpaths and other footpaths. So my question is, how often around the island are the footpaths being checked? I know the roads are being done probably every year, but the footpaths in particular.
Honourable Members, the question makes quite specific reference to roadworks, so I'm going to rule that one out of order.
Footpaths are part of the highway, Mr. President.
Part of the highway, and had they said highway works, we might have been in a different situation. But does the Minister wish to add anything?
Well, I mean, again, I'm very excited. A press release will be put out shortly about the work we're doing regarding footpaths and the collaborative work that we'll be doing with charities and third parties and about engaging on that. Of course, we've got the Heritage Trail from Peel to Douglas also planned to do work, which will be a fantastic utility for the island. And by working with local authorities and with charities, we can really make a huge difference. And not just give some context, 278 miles of footpath and green lane. There's already a green lane user group. Anything, going back to potholes, anything that's reported will be done. I'm very keen that there is a feedback loop that says, this is your call or so forth. But, if there are any issues and if an issue hasn't been resolved, then please come to me and, we'll escalate it.